How's everyone doing? I'm here today to do a deck tech. Not my normal just playthrough. I just wanted to go through my deck, view the decisions I made when building the deck, and I might mention some like notable exclusions. And this list I've been having a fair amount of success with. I mean, I've had losing leagues and winning leagues. Yeah, but I've been playing this for a couple months now, or almost the 75. So we'll go through it. All right. So first, it's going to be the win conditions. We have Primeval Titan and Scapeshift. So Primeval Titan is it's a 6/6 for 6, and you get two lands when it comes into play. Most of the time when I cast Primeval Titan, I already want to have 5 mountains and either a Valakut or a forest. And when it comes into play, I'll probably fetch another Valakut. I'll fetch a Valakut and a mountain, or depending how the game goes. A lot of the times, Primeval Titan doesn't win as soon as it hits the battlefield. A lot of the times it does act as a removal spell. I have to target the creatures. And then Scapeshift, I've rarely casted it and not won the game. There's been a few times that I've misclicked in the display screen, so I don't win the game. Or yeah, there's been one time that there was a Leyline of Sanctity out, and I couldn't just win the game, so I Scapeshifted to get Valakuts out of my deck, and I used the Valakut triggers to remove creatures. So Primeval Titan a lot of times is a removal spell, and rarely wins the game when it comes down. And Scapeshift, most of the time when I cast it, I win the game, or very rarely does it help me become, or help me have active removal spells in my lands. Next are the ramp creatures. There's Sakura-Tribe Elder and then Wood Elves. Sakura-Tribe Elder is a staple across all Scapeshift decks. That's including Titanshift. It gets you a basic land, so it's either going to get a forest or a mountain. One of the cool things about Sakura-Tribe Elder, which makes it a 4 of, is you can block and then sacrifice it for damage. This has helped me a number of times, like if a creature has lifelink. I don't want the lifelink to go through. And a lot of the times, I'll just leave Sakura-Tribe Elder. Sometimes it's by accident, let the damage go through. Sometimes it's against a Dark Confidant, and that's a lot of good value. Get a Dark Confidant off the board. If you do it early in the game, it kind of hurts that you don't get that ramp, but other times it's you're crushing your opponent's game plan. I did it to a Serra Ascendant. I let damage go through because I know that thing's going to become a 6/6 in a turn or two. So me just getting it off the board as soon as I can is best. I really like the flexibility of Sakura-Tribe Elder. Then next, it's Wood Elves. I have 2 of them. So I used to play a Bloodbraid Elf in this slot. So what it came down to is Bloodbraid Elf, a lot of the times I needed it as a chump blocker, and almost always I needed to hit a ramp spell with the Cascade. But when the Cascade trigger goes on the stack, sometimes I hit my 0-cost cards. Sometimes I get a Summoner's Pact, and I don't need to Summoner's Pact right there. Or I hit Chalice of the Void, and I don't need to Chalice of the Void. Also, I'll hit a board wipe when the opponent doesn't have any creatures, or I get a Lightning Bolt, and I have nothing to Lightning Bolt. I'm going to waste a Lightning Bolt. So Wood Elves has just more consistency. It doesn't have the 3/2 body, so I can't win a game as quickly with the 1/1 as I can with the 3/2. And a lot of people don't want to waste a removal spell on a 1/1. They'll let me get a few hits in before they decide to remove it. And with Bloodbraid Elf, as soon as they have a removal spell up, they're removing it. So I like the consistency of Wood Elves a little bit better. Oh, and then the getting a land that comes into play untapped is also very relevant. The consistency of Wood Elves is I hold at a higher level than the power of Bloodbraid Elf. The power of Bloodbraid Elf, it doesn't necessarily help me win, if that makes any sense. Next are the ramp spells. There's Farseek and Search for Tomorrow, both staples. Search for Tomorrow, I can either play it on turn 1 or play it on turn 3. And if I play it on turn 1, I'll have that extra land on turn 3. And then Farseek, it's a 2 mana, get Plains, Island, Swamp, or Mountain. So only thing I can't get in my deck, or the only card type that I can't get in my deck is going to be my basic forests. And I obviously can't get my Valakuts either. But these are both staple cards. So here, I'm not playing Explore. I'm not sure if that's right or not. I'm thinking a little bit down the road, if I'm starting to have trouble with this list, I might run maybe like 2 Explorers. But Explore, I don't really like it mid to late game. I know the purpose of running Explorer is your turn 2 play when you have a land-filled hand. But just like any other deck, a lot of my opening hands don't have enough, like maybe have 1 or 2 lands in it. Just Explore, I just keep thinking of like a grindy matchup, like it's not a great top deck. So I might try it down the road, but right now I just don't like it, and I don't know if it fits great with my play style. Next is the utility cards. So Prismatic Omen and Summoner's Pact. I'm running 2 of each. Prismatic Omen, I used to not be so high on, but I would say Prismatic Omen has won me games. I've seen it be called a win more card, and I actually used to think that. I used to play with 1, and then I decided to go ahead and put a second one in, and me being able to win off of a Scapeshift when I only have 6 lands ends games early. It also helps when Valakut is my 6th land. I instantly get a trigger. So it just really helps me win a lot quicker. Kind of the downside of Prismatic Omen, it definitely is a bad top deck. If I'm in a grindy matchup and I need to steal land and I get a Prismatic Omen, I'm going to be disappointed. But on the other hand, it does help me win the games. Also, all my lands become every basic land types that can tap for any color. But they're also islands, and I know I've talked about it before, but my other deck is Merfolk, and having all your lands islands is good for Merfolk, so can get in with the island walk. Next, it's Summoner's Pact. I do really like this card. I have accidentally casted it a couple of times now when I don't have the mana to pay for the upkeep cost, and there have been times that I've forgotten to when I don't have the mana, there's been one time notable that I accidentally clicked no on Magic Online, that no, I don't want to pay for it during my upkeep, so that's a card you kind of have to be careful with. But I love the flexibility of this. It's a Wood Elves when I need it to be a Wood Elves. It can be a ramp spell, a finisher. I can go get a Reclamation Sage, or in games 2 or 3, get an Obstinate Baloth. So Summoner's Pact is just so flexible, and it just lets me dive into my creature toolbox. So it's a lot of times it's that 9th and 10th win condition, or it's where I can destroy an Ensnaring Bridge if I need to attack with a Primeval Titan with the Rec Sage that I got. So the flexibility of Summoner's Pact is why I'm playing it. Next, I'm going to go over the meta calls. Lightning Bolt, it's a removal spell. You can aim it at your opponent. You can aim it at Planeswalkers. I see lists go from 2 to 4 of these. Right now I'm playing 2. I think spot removal is important, but there's a lot that doesn't die to Lightning Bolt. And the way that and a lot of stuff gets recurred now from graveyards, especially with like the Bridgevine deck. If I bolt a Vengevine, it's coming back next turn, which kind of brings me to the other meta call that I have on the screen here. It's Relic of Progenitus. Now this is normally a sideboard card, but I like Relic because it cycles. If it's not doing anything in the game, I can just cycle it. Every single turn, I can exile a card from my opponent's graveyard. The Bridgevine deck and Storm are the reasons that I have it. I'm like running it in the main deck. I have noticed that it happens sometimes that whenever I do go against a graveyard-based deck, I always notice that I don't see it. It's happened a lot. I know I think I released a video last week where I said that, and then I actually saw Relic of Progenitus in one of the games. But yeah, Relic of Progenitus, great card. I can cycle it if I don't need it, and then when I do, it's great. It can shut my opponent down. And then I'll get into the main deck board wipes. So I have a Sweltering Suns and an Anger of the Gods. Anger of the Gods is good against the Bridgevine decks where stuff's not going to come back, and then Sweltering Suns is good against a deck like Storm. When I'm going against Storm, I've started I'm leaving a Sweltering Suns in the main deck, keeping a Sweltering Suns in the main deck, because if I don't need it, I can cycle it. If I do need it against their Empty the Warrens, it wipes their board. I actually did that. I actually did that in Storm. I cupped an opening hand in game 2 with Sweltering Suns. He had both the Goblin Electromancer and a Baral in play, and he had a huge Storm count, had cast Empty the Warrens, and I had Sweltering Suns in my opening hand, so I wiped the board as soon as he did that. And I keep 2 because of, I believe the card's called Meddling Mage. I have 2 different ones because he can name Anger of the Gods, and I still have Sweltering Suns as a live draw. And I actually have Slagstorm in the sideboard. We will get to the sideboard as well. I just keep them diversified for Meddling Mage. Next, it's Rec Sage. I run 1 in the main deck. There are main deck Blood Moon decks. There's plenty of artifact-based decks. 2 different flavors of Affinity going around right now. And also Boggles. Not too many decks that main deck Leyline, but I mean they're still relevant. And Ensnaring Bridge can destroy an Ensnaring Bridge. So it helps me protect my win condition. I can stop their main board hate cards, and it also sets them back a little bit if they're depending on artifacts or enchantments to win the game. I've played it against Ad Nauseam. Ad Nauseam's a super tough matchup, but Reclamation Sage can destroy their Phyrexian Unlife and win me the game. It's great to have one in the main deck. The next, we'll go through the lands. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm running 4 Stomping Grounds, 3 Cinder Glade. There's that one cycling dual land that I'm not a huge fan of. A lot of people play one. I don't like cards that will always come to play untapped, except for obviously Valakut. Valakut's different. Valakut wins you the game. I'm not playing something that will never come into play untapped, unless it's Valakut, because if I have a Primeval Titan in hand, I need one more lane to cast that Primeval Titan, and I top deck a tap land that serves no other purpose other than, it cycles, but if I have to cycle it, then I'm not casting Primeval Titan. If it serves no other purpose, then I just don't think it's worth it. So have the Cinder Glade, Stomping Ground, pretty straightforward. Then fetch lands. I have 4 Wooded Foothills, 3 Misty Rainforest. So the 4 Wooded Foothills is definitely, I'm going to keep it like that. I would be playing with, I would diversify the Misty Rainforest slot if Pithing Needle were a bigger thing, but right now Pithing Needle isn't, I haven't seen too much of it. Just in case I get Thought Seized into Pithing Needle or something like that. Don't want them to say Misty Rainforest if I have multiple Misty Rainforests in hand. So I would diversify that if I saw more Pithing Needles, but right now it's fine. So that fraction of a percentage point I'm just taking right now at the chance that they run a Pithing Needle effect and that scenario does happen. This says fetch lands. Let's fix. I should have fixed that. Should say basic lands on this slide. So I have 6 mountains and 3 forests. It's pretty straightforward. If I was flashing a third color, I'd switch out the forest for either basic of that third color or another either fetch. Well, probably fetch land, not fetch land. Another shock land. And then, of course, we have Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. It comes into play tapped when I control 5 other mountains. Whenever a mountain comes into play, it deals damage to any target, so planeswalker, creature, player. This is kind of like the centerpiece of the deck. Most Scapeshift decks, they run off of when Valakut was banned, Scapeshift wasn't a thing. Next, we'll go over the sideboard. So we have Artifact and Enchantment hit. So I have Ancient Grudges. So the cool thing about Ancient Grudge is it is actually 4 removal spells for artifacts. And then Reclamation Sage, I've already talked about it. It's a great card. When it comes in, it'll come in against any artifact or artifact or enchantment heavy decks, and also bring it in if I suspect that I'm going to see a Blood Moon or Alpine Moon. I'll bring a second one in. Next, board wipes. I talked about it earlier. If I see a Meddling Mage, if they're either playing Meddling Mage or I'm going against humans, I have it diversified. Slagstorm is flexible because you can hit players or creatures. It's normally, if I'm bringing 2 in, it's going to be Anger of the Gods and Sweltering Suns. And Slagstorm is just the creature heavy decks, like if I'm going against Affinity or Humans. Some notable exclusions are Hour of Devastation. I don't like how slow it is. Decks like the Bridgevine deck, it's so explosive that their board presence on turn 3 could be overwhelming, and I might not have enough mana to cast Hour of Devastation. Same thing with Blasphemous Act. Blasphemous Act is a really cool spell, but the the variance on how much it costs kind of holds me back a little bit from running it in the sideboard. Then the Storm and Tron hate Damping Sphere. It's printed because people hated Tron and Storm. So I'm running 3. Sometimes it has set me back a couple of times, like if I'm wanting to Farseek and then Scapeshift in the same turn. I haven't been able to because of I have a Damping Sphere in play. So it affects all players, but normally it's holding like a Storm player back enough to where I can afford an extra turn. I'd say it does help against Tron, but it's kind of like why Tron doesn't care about Blood Moon is the same way they don't care about Damping Sphere. It's a pain, but they can normally dance around it because they'll get to the point where they can cast their Oblivion Stone and destroy it, and then play a new Ulamog. And then Chalice of the Void. It's on the Storm and Tron hate slide, but it's used a lot more than Storm and Tron hate. Anytime where I see a lot of 1-drops, Chalice of the Void is coming in. It is great against Storm, being able to Chalice for 2 stops stops them from being able to go off. It's also good against decks that have a lot of small creatures. Like I've gone against Martyr Proc a lot recently, and Chalice of the Void's really good there. It stops Martyr of the Sands, Path to Exile. It's a great card against Path to Exile because a lot of decks will leave their paths in for my Primeval Titans, and I have a Chalice of the Void to counter the Path to Exile, so they have no way of dealing with my Primeval Titans. And last, it's Obstinate Baloth. This is a great card against this card. It's a great card against Burn. It's a 4/4 body. I bring it in against Burn, any of the mid-range decks. A lot of I typically don't bring in all 3 against aggressive decks like Affinity or Humans. I might bring in a couple just to help gain me life, but normally in those matchups I'm trying to I want to focus on comboing off faster. But yeah, Obstinate Baloth is one of my favorite sideboard cards. I think one of the videos I have this week is Obstinate Baloth I used to its full ability. There was one of my opponents casted a discard spell. I think it was used the Liliana. I discarded Obstinate Baloth and then instantly killed the Liliana with Obstinate Baloth. So yeah, this is a great card, running 3 of them. And then that's it. That's my 75. I'll put the deck list in the description. If anyone has any questions on my list or has any arguments, thinks of something that I should play better, I would love to hear it. I want a higher win record, so I think that having a good discussion on deck lists would be beneficial. So if anyone has any questions, suggestions, let me know in the comments. I'll have a league out this week, and I will see you guys then. Thank you.